Ladies and gentlemen, a conviction of Donald Trump will be very difficult to obtain if there's any evidence that the Manhattan District Attorney or any prosecutors communicated or coordinated with the Democratic National Committee or Democrats in New York, or Chuck Schumer, or the New York mayor, or Nancy Pelosi, or anybody associated with Hillary Clinton. So, for example, Jim Jordan in Bloomberg, House GOP claims subpoena power in Manhattan DA clash over Trump. Washington Examiner, Jim Jordan says subpoena for Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg on the table. They will force him or compel him to testify because he's relying on a federal statute and a federal crime that hasn't been committed the federal government has not accused Donald Trump of breaking any campaign finance laws. In fact, it's the opposite. The FEC looked at what took place, the campaign fund or the hush money payment, and said, yeah, it's a personal expenditure within the FEC laws. It's a personal expenditure. He just didn't want his family to know. Or if that's his defense, that's enough. So if he wanted to pay a person who just in October of 2016 engaged in a type of Stormy wanted the most money possible during the most precarious moment for Donald Trump. So if she was going to extort money in October of 2016, the question is, well, who did she coordinate with? Any Democrats? Anyone associated with the Democratic Party? Because she had denied the affair, the involvement, just like Michael Cohen, through a letter and through her attorneys. Then in October stated, oh yeah, you know what had happened? By the way, I want to get paid off. Then Michael Cohen, through a corporation that he set up, paid her money. And then Michael Cohen, through his attorney, stated, yeah, Trump didn't know about anything, and he just paid Stormy to be quiet because Stormy at that moment wanted as much money as possible because the next month was November. Now, not one vote would have been altered had people found out that he had a romantic relationship with Stormy. But the issue is, it wasn't a Steele dossier, which the FEC fined Clinton and the DNC for. The federal government fined Hillary and the DNC, and I think Hillary Clinton will be the 24 nominee, but the federal government fined Hillary Clinton and the DNC for purchasing the Steele dossier with campaign funds. So all that money that went to Bernie Sanders in a fair and neutral primary when they railroaded Bernie Sanders and lied to the entire planet, and they haven't stopped pontificating about democracy since, all that money went to, for example, legal services to fund a Steele dossier. That was an FEC fine. Nothing that Trump did was deemed an FEC fine by the FEC. So when Alvin Bragg, and hit subscribe to this channel right now because I'm going to explain exactly why it's going to be very difficult for Democrats in New York to get their ultimate wish of convicting Trump. When the Manhattan District Attorney created a federal crime out of nowhere, it's different if the federal government had already fined Trump like they did with Hillary and the DNC. But they didn't fine Trump. He's the Cy Vance, the district attorney prior to Alvin Bragg couldn't find an FEC crime there, but also the federal government couldn't find an FEC crime because the FEC did not view what Trump did to be a crime, as opposed to Hillary and the DNC fining them for the Steele dossier. And in order for the New York statute to become a felony, the New York statute on falsifying business records must be combined with a federal crime. That hasn't happened yet. Because the federal government hasn't gone after Trump with the FEC violation because the FEC didn't find Trump. And so it's the Manhattan DA that's jumping into Congress. It's not Congress that's getting involved in a state level issue. This is Alan Dershowitz, but also Andrew McCarthy and a whole bunch of other legal scholars have talked about this. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen. I will definitely have a live stream tomorrow at some time, probably in the evening. And that's going to be an awesome live stream. To my Patreons, thank you so very much. And to the super thanks, thank you. Share this everywhere. It's very important because it's not like there's no, like, when they say, well, Jim Jordan defied a congressional demand. Well, let's see. Who is going to jail right now? Who is risking jail time? So they've gone after people left and right. The Mueller probe and Bannon. So they went after Bannon for not going. So then they go back and, well, Jim Jordan didn't go to a subpoena. It's like, well, there was no crime that he committed. And there was nothing that he had to do with... There was no crime that Trump committed in January. There was an entire year where they couldn't find a crime and then they just want to torment people. This is actually potentially a crime. You can't just decide that the FEC, that you know more than the FEC on the state level. You can't say, well, the federal government messed up. We're going to imagine that he committed a federal crime and then indict him on a state level utilizing a federal crime that hasn't been committed yet. So the Democrats in New York are now within the domain of the House of Representatives and Congress. Jim Jordan can find out, okay, who'd you coordinate with? Did you coordinate with anybody? Did you meet with anybody? Because Michael Avenatti, for example, was working with Hillary Clinton's super PAC. And again, I believe it's going to be Trump-Hillary 2024. That would be very interesting. But I think this is all because Hillary Clinton's super PAC, according to the Daily Mail, according to Politico, Ready for Hillary, was working with Michael Avenatti, Stormy Daniels' lawyer. Okay. Did Michael Cohen get promised a shorter sentence to turn on Trump? That's not a difficult thing to ask under oath in Congress. Michael Cohen, convicted felon, lied numerous times. He's not a trustworthy witness, neither is Stormy Daniels. But how many Democrats are involved in this? If you have a Hillary Clinton super PAC possibly funding or coordinating or advising Michael Avenatti's run as president before he went to prison, did the Manhattan DA or any prosecutors have any contact with this super PAC or anyone involved with the super PAC? The interesting thing is that Jim Jordan mentioned the Steele dossier as part of the reason that he wants to have the DA testify. Okay, so we learned from the Durham probe. The Durham probe was actually not, it wasn't a catastrophe. We learned a great deal. The way Democrats work is they use lawyers, public relations executives, tech people. They hire people who then hire people who then hire people who then work with people who then speak to Stormy or to Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen's lawyer is a very loyal Hillary Clinton supporter. Okay. Michael Avenatti was working with Hillary Clinton's super PAC. And a lot of the people the Clintons know or are friendly with were working with him. A campaign promise that the DA made, Alvin Bragg made, was to get Trump. The Attorney General of New York campaigned on getting Trump. This is not a crime. Even people who don't like Trump are saying it's not a crime. Okay, I reference Alan Dershowitz a lot, but he didn't vote for Trump, but he has no problem with it. There are other people who don't even like Trump. There are left-leaning publications who are saying, they're going to be difficult to actually convict. It'll be thrown out on appeal, but Jim Jordan is essentially blocking conviction because let's just say that Alvin Bragg and Democrats say, well, you're not going to go. It'll be very difficult for this to happen without Bragg testifying in Congress under oath? Give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe to this